Welcome to the show, and here are your hosts, the diabolical Elite Gaming Guru, the illustrious Red Dead Panda, and the Australian stud Ashtray Gaming. So let's get this party started. Shit.
Live.
Little dance video happening.
I know. It looked pretty good. That cracks me up every week. But we're live, guys. We're live.
Good morning, everybody. Good evening, depending on where you are in the world.
Sayonara.
It is Ash. That's goodbye. We don't want to say goodbye, but anyway, we want to say hello to everybody. I love that dancing scene. That's great. Yeah. So this morning you got me, Ashtray, and our lovely Red Dead Panda. How are you this morning?
Thank you so much, Ashtray. I'm really, really good. I'm really tired. I was playing Halo last night. I was trying to finish a challenge, and as a result of trying to finish that challenge, I am like
Little dance video happening.
Super tired as a result. That cracks me up every week. I think I went to bed about 4 in the morning.
Good morning, everybody. So you've only had about 4 hours sleep, roughly.
Yeah, probably about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a bit
Oh,
tired.
you'll have to have a.
But
We'll have to have a snooze this afternoon.
just been playing Halo Season 2, which we're actually talking about Halo Season 2 later in the show. But I am going to give that Yami game a install and play sometime this weekend. But yeah, what have you been
You
up to?
can
How
load
are
it
you?
straight up over the cloud if you want.
Oh, there's no cloud gaming in New Zealand yet. So kia ora, good morena, everybody. But
okay.
yeah, there's no cloud gaming. And I'll just confirm, yes, our audio is working, Ashtray.
Awesome. Well, that's good. You might want to let everyone know where you were last week because, we sort of mentioned that you were at
No,
the
I'm kidding.
doctor's.
No.
Well, at least it takes a few kilos off.
Oh my god. I was thank you. I was I was at my I was down with my folks and we were doing a really nice thing. We were detailing their car, so their car was absolutely filthy. And shout out to my twin, my sister, C-Roll 40, who I helped do this with. She's listening live while she's actually doing housework this morning. But yeah, we cleaned their car outside and inside, and they were like, it looks better than when we bought it. And I'm like, yeah. Shit. But yeah, that's where I was. It took like 11 hours to do, and there were 2 of us doing it, so their car was like really, really filthy. But now it's really, really clean. But yeah, that was me on the weekend. And because it's Mother's Day this weekend, it was kind of like an early Mother's Day gift last weekend for them. I'm going to say that even though that's not true, but I'm going to make myself feel better because I'm not doing anything for Mother's Day this week. But yeah, what have you been up to, Ashtray?
I've been sort of all over the place as I always do, jumping in and out of different games. I actually played some Halo Wars, the first one over cloud with the blue one. Shout out to the blue one last night. We did a few levels there. Hopefully we can pick that up and play that. We played it over the cloud in co-op. Only had minimal screen tearing. Other than that, it worked really, really well. So it's just goes to show you how good the cloud. The whole cloud system works, and the fact that I'm in Australia, the blue one's in the US. We played this game over cloud at co-op, and there was very, very minimal issues. It's phenomenal, really. So yeah, hopefully we can do a little bit of that. Been jumping in and out of Fortnite and a few other games. So yeah. Well, speaking about cloud, I think it might be a great idea to get into our first topic, which is about Fortnite, now back on iOS by Microsoft's cloud gaming service. Now, that news dropped about 24 hours ago, roughly. Yeah. And so I decided to actually load it up on my phone. I'm a Apple person.
Trash.
Send me hate mail if you like. But yeah, I loaded it up. I didn't connect my controller. I just thought I'd just load it up, see how it goes. And besides the fact that touch controls are trash and will always be trash. Yep. It actually ran
pretty well.
Ran real smooth. Yep. Didn't have any freezing or any screen tearing or anything. So I only played it for a few minutes. just to sort of test it out and see how it goes. But I mean, this is the first step into this massive, wanting to reach, what is it, 3 billion gamers. This is that first step sort of into that. And Fortnite is probably the best one to lead it off.
I think so. I think it's well deserved. But shout out to everyone who's watching live in the chat. Tryhard Fan, as usual. Dauntless Dragon, who I've been playing Halo with. Cork, really nice to see you in the chat. Picto Trick, I'm bad with names, just FYI. And my left nut is itchy. Yes, I said that out loud on a live stream. That is rubbish. But welcome and thank you all for joining us live. Please share this out, like, comment, and we appreciate your support every week. Subscribe to Ashtray's channel, not Elite's, because he's a fraud.
Well, actually, speaking of Elite, where is he? Yeah, I think he's off getting something done. Maybe he's getting a hysterectomy as well.
Yeah, I think the hysterectomy is definitely that. Or maybe penile prosthesis put in, something like that.
We'll let him explain next time, but yeah, there's definitely something dodgy going on.
He can explain. But yeah, back on topic. Sorry to take everything off. I think this is great news. I think, like, if you aren't aware of this and you've been living under a rock for like forever, you'll know that Epic Games went into that battle with Google, with Apple and Google over their App Store fees and such. So the only way you could play on iPhone playing Fortnite was via Nvidia's GeForce Now, and only if you got into the closed beta. But now they've found a way around that through Microsoft xCloud Gaming, so you can play it on your iPhone, you can play it on your Android device through that as well, and it's available in like 26 countries. So you just use your Microsoft account and you're sorted. But are you happy about this? I know you said you played it, because I know you like playing Fortnite. Are you happy about this? Because you probably had difficulties considering you're an iPhone user.
Yeah. So once, I mean, look, they've had iCloud on iOS for a little while now, and the best way to do it is you just basically go online, you do xCloud, Microsoft. They tell you to then save it to your desktop, so it's kind of like an app, even though it runs through the website. And so you just treat it like an app. You just have it on your home screen. You open it up, it'll automatically load you into your account. You've obviously previously done that. And then, you just hit play now, and it'll load through the cloud. And you can choose to use touch controls, which no thanks, or a controller. So I didn't get a chance to use the controller last night. I didn't want to muck around with it, but I will try it out again today. The only thing, like anything, is the screens are a bit small.
Yeah.
So it's only something just to kill a little bit of time when you're at an airport or at the doctor's or something like that. But I've got a Switch, so I sort of just jump in and play Mario Kart when I'm at an airport anyway.
I
so
love Mario Kart. But I mean, this is just a small topic, like a quick, easy topic while everyone starts coming in to join us live. I'm kind of excited that this is enabled for other people, because I think xCloud Gaming is still in its infancy of where we're going to see it heading when it comes to stability and its capabilities moving into the future. But it's nice that people who enjoy that game, and its options, right? People who enjoy that game have the option to play that game wherever they want. And as gamers and being part of that awesome community that we are in, I think we just got to acknowledge that there's a way around for you guys out there. So awesome news.
So, and any updates on when xCloud's coming to New Zealand?
I heard it was when no, that was meant to be last year. I have no idea at this point, because a lot of things have been pushed out and delayed, but they were building the servers in New Zealand, so hopefully soon. I mean, the latency isn't too bad. Just give us the Australian servers and we might be able to play a little bit. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I mean, it'd still work all right, I would think. So
I don't think it's
interesting, but look, it's going to keep growing, and it's just, my experience with the cloud, whether it's through my phone or through the Xbox itself, has been pretty good. And it's actually, I've noticed it's improving over the last few months. When it sort of first came to Australia about a year ago, because we haven't had it for that long really either, it was the images, like it was very soft and grainy. Like the latency was actually fairly good, but the image quality was really bad. But I've noticed that that's improved quite a bit. So I don't know if that's to do with switching more servers on, more people using it, or if it's machine learning, or all of the above. So either way, it's improving, and Microsoft. I mean, it's still in beta, they say, so it's still rolling out and it's still growing. So it's only going to get better and better and better.
Well, I think you're right. It's only going to get better and better and better. And I mean, this one was announced by Tim Sweeney on a tweet on Twitter. And speaking of tweets, our next topic. Did you see this? Like, Sony removes a tweet that like indicated that KOTOR was going to be a PS5 exclusive, which was completely false.
Exclusive.
Exclusive. Yeah, that was good. We should clip that. That was really good. You should do the voiceover.
We'll get Colt to do it or someone.
Yeah. Did you see the tweet?
I did. I saw it. I mean, like, because this stuff usually happens for us Australians while we're sleeping. So I did see the fallout after the actual tweet. So I didn't see the original tweet, but there was plenty of screenshots.
Yep.
Plenty of people calling them out. And it's true. Look, I saw someone tweet saying, "Oh, Sony this gen." I'm like, no, Sony's been doing this forever. This isn't new to Sony. Sony always does this sort of thing.
Anymore.
Well, it's becoming more and more difficult, and more so for this because the dev came out a while ago already saying that it's going to be multi-platform.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, usually that doesn't happen. Yeah, usually that doesn't happen. Usually the devs don't come out and say these things. It's just all Sony drop a trailer, they say, only on PlayStation or exclusive or whatever. And that's the end of it. Everyone, especially the general public, see that and just think it's exclusive to PlayStation.
You saying Sony is
and
toxic?
We all know. Shifty, dodgy, slimy, that kind of thing. But, so a lot of people who aren't sort of in the know think that it is a console exclusive. But then, we know things because we're in Twitter and we're always looking up articles and things like that. We have conversations with different people. We know these things. We know anyway that they're not exclusive and it's timed and it's a year or 2 years or whatever it might be. So we just sit back and laugh at these people that go, "Oh yeah, it's exclusive." And we're like, "No, it's not." So, but yeah. So this case is slightly different to normal, where the dev came out and already said that it wasn't. So the fact that they still did it is, I don't know, it's probably just because it's habit these days. I don't know. What do you think on that one?
I just think I'm kind of sick of this happening. Like, you are right. They did the trailers and then they were like, actually, it's only coming to this exclusively, and then they pulled back the trailer and changed the messaging. And I think, yes, and I agree with you, Tryhard. You said, like, it was confirmed a while back that KOTOR remake or remaster, whatever version it is, remake, right, would be coming to PlayStation 5 and PC day one. But the problem is messaging. When you are such a big entity like Sony PlayStation is, there's so much mind share. You go back and you look at last generation when Destiny had the marketing rights to with PlayStation. They had the marketing rights with them, and no one knew the game was coming to Xbox. Only Xbox gamers knew, like, occasionally. Like, most people thought it was an exclusive. And that's the same thing. It's like, people, if they're only following PlayStation or Sony, are gonna think that it is an exclusive based on the messaging that Sony and PlayStation use. And I think it was Sony, not PlayStation specifically, who did that. But from those tweets, from what I could tell, because I missed out from it. But it's like, it is really important that as gamers, we get they at least market it and give us the right messaging, because it's really annoying if people get on board behind that. And there's all these gotcha moments and cancel culture and all this other bullshit and rubbish out there on happening on social media and so on and so forth. And it just creates more infighting when we should be being more inclusive to some degree. So I'm glad that this got pointed out, and I'm glad that they pulled the tweet, because you should have checked it before you released it. Like, people who post, like you and I, we post on Twitter. I'm not the best. I always put spelling mistakes and stuff in, but I'm not a company. I'm not a brand in that regard. So I can make mistakes. You guys should get it right. You are the leading that.
You know what, Red? I can guarantee you if they weren't called out, they would have left it there.
I guarantee you. So I'm glad they got called out, because I don't think they would have taken it down either until the probably the devs called them out, I reckon. So the community, kudos to you guys. I would like us to be more inclusive. I have said that I don't mind PlayStation. I don't have anything against the gamers there. They are a really nice community. I have a problem with the toxic people on both sides of the Xbox side and the PlayStation side, because they are really toxic. And there's one side that I do believe is more toxic than the other. And
that's obvious.
Yeah, that is obvious. But like, it just gets annoying, and then people use this as ammo, and then they have to pull it back, and then they won't acknowledge that they were wrong, and all this other rubbish that they talk about. But like, I'm glad that this got pulled down. I think, and then people were saying like, you guys don't get this game, and it's like, well, a lot of people on Xbox already played this game. It's a remaster. They will have improvements. They might add some new content into the game, and I hope that they do. But don't do this whole gotcha moment unless you've actually fact-checked it, guys. And Sony should have fact-checked it before putting that tweet out. It's just common courtesy to do that if you are a company and a brand, global, and you have people who trust in you. And I don't know, it's hard now, because we've been just looking at the misinformation and the coming out of that company itself and PlayStation stuff, and changing things, going back and forth on what their messaging is. So it is hard to take them at their word now, and I feel like a lot of gamers are a lot more, their eyes are open. But I just thought it was funny. I did. And, you know,
well, let's put it this way. It's not going to be the first time. Well, it hasn't been the first time, and it's not going to be the last. So it'll keep happening. It just depends on whether it's sort of known well in advance, like this was, whether they do it again or not. So it'll hopefully curb that if devs and that can come out as soon as the game's announced and let everyone know it's multi-platform. Then this will probably sort of start to disappear a little bit.
Cork says in the chat, must be one dude behind PlayStation's Twitter account. Oh, well, probably.
It's probably it's probably the guy from IGN that was wearing the PlayStation chain in that video. Oh man! All right, I think let's move on from that.
I think it was on the. That's all I'm saying was on the PlayStation Twitter as well, but I vaguely saw something. But yes, let's move along. Do you want to read out this lovely next topic? I think we've beaten that last topic to death.
Yes, well, the next one, a little bit of Halo Infinite. Yes. Halo Infinite Season 2. We sort of spoke a little bit on this last week in regards to it, the up-and-coming Season 2 drop. It's finally dropped, and the community just responds in different ways. I've seen and heard from different people in the community. Some are, it's kind of a love-hate relationship in a way.
Have you
They're happy
played it
that
yet?
there's
'Cause I
some
know
new
you're not
content.
a big Halo fan.
Yeah, I jumped into it the other night on, was it Wednesday night? I think it might have been, for like 10 minutes.
Yep.
But yeah, look, I'm not a big fan of the mechanics of that game, to be honest with you. But anyway,
they haven't enabled the disabling of cross-platform play yet, which is a pain. But yeah, continue. What were you going to say?
Well, I don't know if they will, in all seriousness, because if it's just Xbox only, it's not going to load.
Yeah, that's true.
It needs a bigger pool of people, and it needs the Xbox, the PlayStation. Shit, it needs the PC gamers on there to be able to play it. So
undercover pony.
Never really sort of get there, but yeah. So there's fors and against. There's people that, again, like I said, they're happy that there's some new content, a couple of new maps and things like that. But at the same time, they've made changes that have sort of stopped certain things from happening, like these skill jumps and things like that. I was talking to Boba Fett Gaming, shout out to him. He was sort of happy that the game dropped some new content, but at the same time took out those skill jumps and a few other bits and pieces that he was like, well, why would you actively spend time on taking out these skill jumps, which allows you to basically jump on, like a part of a wall that might have some, I don't know, might have like a box there or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then allows you to jump onto a ledge that you're not technically supposed to get to.
I mean, if you're skilled enough to do that, then leave it in.
Just leave it. Yes, but clearly he said someone's actually sat there and prevented that from happening on all the maps. So instead of wasting time doing that, I bet you actually spend time on, more maps. Things like quality of life improvements.
Yeah, I have been playing Halo Season 2 and shout out to others. Glad you could make it just for you. I will say rubbish some more throughout the show. Appreciate you joining us. Gaming Elite, he is getting a hysterectomy. Yeah, who knew he was a female? I sure didn't.
Wow,
that was a surprise. No, he's got things on, so he's kind of he's around, but he can't actually join us live and chat with us this week, which is sad. He's a funny guy, and we do appreciate him and such. But I have been playing this season, and I'm mixed on it because if you don't know, I got into Halo Infinite multiplayer. I've never played Halo multiplayer before until now. I'm not a big PvP person, and
You're good at it though.
Yeah, not too bad, not too shabby at it. And I got in. We played it on the Australia New Zealand community gaming night, and so played it. Wasn't too good to begin with, but then really started to like it when we played some custom matches, and then I got addicted, and now I play it every day. And I'm quite a little bit disappointed with the content because I like the community involvement, coming together and playing games together all the time. It's the lone wolf. That's the bit that I don't like, is the lone wolf, last Spartan standing matches. It would be nice to do it in teams for attrition or something else. I've won three of those matches so far from what I've played, and I haven't played many of the matches, but it's the challenges. Some of those challenges, get that backslap. I'm just in last Spartan standing, and you have to be really, really smart about how you do that. I really like the Rumble mode, though. If you haven't played Rumble, do play Rumble. Obviously, if you get the vampire one with the oddball, that is so much fun. It's just 12v12, free-for-all, oddball, going nuts, and one-hitting people with the oddball. And people seem to forget that oddball is now one hit in that mode. And I was overkill an overkill with it all the time, and it was so much fun. And it was just... I was like, we should be working kind of to kill the person with the oddball, but no, we were just killing each other before we got to the oddball, and this guy kept getting his ticker, the counter going up, and I was like, no! I won that match though, so I'll just say that.
Nice.
I had 30 kills.
I like
by the end
oddball.
of it.
Yeah. Oh shit! Oddball mode is probably one of my favorites. There's a capture the flag, and that not a big fan of, but oddball is pretty cool. I do enjoy that mode a lot. I probably play that one the most when I can.
Yep.
But also the news is they added Clippy.
Yeah.
I completely forgot what Clippy was, and I actually had to ask where to go. What's Clippy? And it's that little instructional graphic that was in
Microsoft
I think it came
Word?
in was it Windows 95?
95, I think, on Word, right?
It was back, it was back in the day, because we used to, obviously, at school, and it was always there. But so Clippy is an attachment to a trinket to attach to your gun. So that's kind of interesting.
That would be so cool if they added Clippy as an AI or something. You had that as your AI, as a Clippy AI. That would be so good, because at the moment it's not. But I did like the starting cinematic. I know that the community is kind of iffy. Some of the guys I play community game night with are I don't know if I want to continue playing at the moment. a lot of them didn't even buy the premium because they were like, we've got this season for 6 months. No point getting the first 25 levels. We'll just slowly grind through up to level 100. And I am enjoying it. I'm not going to lie. I love Halo. I love playing multiplayer. I love the others. We haven't jumped into any custom matches, so I don't know if they've done anything in the custom matches, but do try Rumble if you want. In a group, it's hilarious. And I also wish you could do like jump in for free for all, and just go in as a party and they just have you all fighting off against each other. That'd be so good instead of just randomly joining randoms. Because we tried last night to join everyone tried last night to join one match of Last Spartan Standing together. All hit join at the same time and see if any of us could get on the same group. And I was playing another match, so I couldn't join. I don't know, because I had to jump off because it was like 4 a.m. and I was like, I actually have this podcast, so I need to get up and do that. But I will be on tonight playing Halo for community game night, and maybe Elite might join me. Ashtray, you gonna join us?
Tonight? Yeah. I'll be up for that.
Sweet. If anyone
Saturday
wants to
nights
join
are a
us,
little bit better for me.
Please do join us. But yeah, I'm still a bit mixed. Like, I like the content in the battle pass, but I'm a bit mixed. But yeah, I don't know. It feels a bit weird. It feels really, really odd.
Yeah, we kind of had a quick discussion about it last week, and I was sort of like, people are annoyed because the multiplayer side of the game, it's free and all that kind of stuff, but the multiplayer side of the game is supposed to be, or has always launched in full.
Yeah.
And having it roll out is it's frustrating. You just don't have all that content there and there. And I think, like, a lot of people keep bringing up Forge. I never played around with Forge. I don't have I don't care for sitting there to build stuff, but there are people that do, and they're probably absolutely chomping at the bit to create these levels. And I was like, with them taking away these skill jumps, I was like, hey, well, someone needs to create the exact same levels that they've got, but add the skill jumps back in. That'll show them. Yep. But yeah, look, it is what it is. They've got a bit of a map of rollout, and we should see more content coming over the next few months. So by the end of this year, a Forge and all that's supposed to have dropped by then. So I think October for Forge. Look, by the end of the year, it should be a bit more of a full game. And people will keep playing it. And I think maybe they've done this on purpose. Maybe it's to keep people engaged and coming back over and over again. They put it down, come back, put it down, come back. I don't know, but either way,
yep.
At least it's not broken per se. It works. It's pretty polished, and it's you guys play it all the time. So I mean, there's clearly enough people that want to keep jumping into it on a daily basis. So that's good.
Dauntless changed his name to My Right Nut is Burning. Since we've got my left nut is here, we've got my right nut is burning. Far out. You guys are just rubbish in the chat, guys. I love it. I absolutely love it. Reading it. And thank you, Pyro, for joining us. Elite isn't here this week, but we're gonna hold down the fort and actually, we're not frauds, so
well, speak for yourself now.
All right. If you're not wondering, if you haven't played this on our what you can see on chat is Lost in Random. So I recommend trying it out. It's actually pretty fun. It's actually pretty good.
What kind of game is it?
I don't know how to describe the game, actually.
Is it a mystery?
It's more sort of like actiony stuff, and sort of story driven. I wouldn't say it's a mystery. You've got a dice and like you use that to battle some stuff, and like it's not Dungeon Dice Masters or anything like that, or but it's really, really cool, and the art style is really, really cool. So do check it out. It's on Game Pass at the moment. I have got through the stuff where it's like a lot of story content and actually got into the main gameplay, which once that kind of kicks off, you still have to do some puzzle stuff, but it's actually quite decent. I'm really enjoying it. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah, it is pretty good. It is pretty good. All right. Okay. Well,
all right,
let's
jump into the next topic if you like.
Yeah, PlayStation VR implementation still needs work. So if you have been living under a rock or don't have a TV or a gaming console, what are you doing here?
It They might be here to learn.
Oh, they may be here to
You never
learn.
know.
But if you don't know what VRR is, basically, it's you generally your TV tells your console like it refreshes everything for it, so it doesn't matter what your console's trying to push on frame rate. Your TV will just refresh at its rate that it's set to. But with VRR, your console tells your TV when to load up frames that it's doing. So you've got less screen tearing. Sorry, that's not a very good explanation of it, but that's the generalized idea behind it. And it's been 18 months now, and PlayStation has got it, and it's not working as intended.
So look, essentially, it's VRR short for variable refresh rate. And
yep.
The most simplistic way I can put it is basically make sure that your console and your TV are in sync
as best as possible.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
yep.
Yeah, that's sort of like the crux of it.
Yep.
You're aware that this is a software implementation as opposed to at a hardware level. So this is why they've got issues with it.
Well, didn't Digital Foundry say it's at a system level, but it's just not? They have to patch it in to get the is it LC? Oh, I can never remember. Low frame rate compensation or something. Because right now Xbox is working properly, where it runs between 20 hertz all the way up to 120 hertz. So if your game is anywhere between that hertz rate, between 20 and 120, you're going to have variable refresh rate or VRR enabled and working. So it smooths out any hitching and around frame drops, and it looks a lot smoother, and the game just runs better as a result. Like what you see, it runs better. Whereas PlayStation's implementation is between 48 hertz all the way up to 120 hertz. But there's also an option if you're on a 60 hertz screen at 48 hertz up to 60 hertz. They don't have quite the right. So it means like if you're playing like Elden Ring and that game is a bit variable around the frame rate, the moment on the PS5 it drops below 48 hertz, you start seeing like screen tearing and other little things happening because variable refresh rate isn't engaged, smoothing it and making the game look really nice to play and so on and so forth. So you're not getting the benefits of VRR. They actually have to patch that in. So the developers do more work around that, whereas it isn't the same on the Xbox side. They don't have to do anything because you've got that variance between 20 and 120 hertz on a TV that can do up to 120 hertz as well, and is VRR enabled. But I mean, what did you think? Because what have you thought about the implementation from PlayStation side? Because I think I spoke to you the other week and I said it sounds a bit dodge.
Yeah, I mean, look, they shouldn't have really bothered implementing it until it was at its full range. Otherwise, what's the point, really? I mean, they had to disable it for one of their games recently. So it should just be a part of the system in the background. You can either maybe turn it off or turn it on at your will, but it's set and forget. And it should just work across every single game that's possible to play on the console. Whereas it's only active for a handful of games. It's like, well, it should just work across the board. If the game needs it or not, it's there to kick in if needed. Well, so I think it's not a full attempt, and they should have just held off on it until it was ready.
I think kudos to them to adding it so it is available there and it can start being used. But I do agree that it should have come out where it's a little bit more fleshed out, and the developers, if they were where they had to patch it, were doing that work. And so these games that enabled VRR, it's working perfectly, and you get the benefits regardless of the hertz rate or the game is running at, and your TV is, you can still utilize it if you've got VRR enabled. And the fact that people were taking this and saying, hey, you shouldn't have VRR left on your TV at all times, why would you turn it off? Like, that seems stupid, turning it off for one game and then turning it on for another game, and like, that just seems pointless. The console should be telling you which games need VRR and which games don't, and enabling it that way. It shouldn't be doing it like you have to do it because it's not working as intended. And I agree, it should have been released in a better state than what it was. And I'm not denying everyone VRR is amazing, and if you haven't got a TV that uses it, it does change things quite dramatically, especially if you've played Elden Ring. Oh, is there a huge difference on Elden Ring? But as gamers...
That's the other thing, Red.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's only TVs from either 2020 or 2021 that have VRR.
Yep.
In most cases, I've got a 2018 LG B8, and it doesn't have it. I mean, it can't even do more than 60 hertz. So, it's nothing like, I know the Xbox has it. That's great, future, but I don't have it. So it's sort of a nothing for me.
Nothing burger for you.
I just think if you're gonna, yeah, that's it. But if they're gonna bring these features out, they really should just bring them out when they're fully working and implemented. It should just work just like Dolby Vision or HDR10. It enables as it's needed in the background automatically. If it doesn't need it, it won't activate. Simple as that. It shouldn't have to toggle it off and on. And it should be available for all games, not like, what is it, 28 games or something like that. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's just typical.
Because it should be your TV going, this is what I'm getting on frame rate. I'm going to push the frames to you and tell you I need this screen you to refresh the screen at this rate, so there's less screen tearing, and it's where the TV and the console are working together, that smoothness there. And right now it doesn't sound like that's happening. I mean, there's the ability to apply it to unsupported games on the PlayStation, but like if you watch Digital Foundry, like, it's not working as intended for some things. Even like Alex Battaglia, he was saying like he was trying to use it on his PS5, and for some reason on his TV he was getting like black screen. And it was the only, like, any, like, the Xbox is working fine, enabling VRR, and, like, there's a weird bandwidth thing, because the bandwidth is limited in HDMI 2.1 on the PS5, so if you have enabled it at, I think, up to 120 hertz, you get some color scaling differences, like it's 4.22 or something, so you don't get the full color that you should if the bandwidth was high enough to support 4K 120 hertz properly in HDMI 2.1, whereas Xbox has that bigger bandwidth, so you're not getting issues with color disparity and such on your screen as a result. So I think there is work to be done, and I mean, it's better that the console has it, and I'm not going to deny that, but I think because of what's been happening with PlayStation, with the stuff that they've been releasing recently around some of the updates that they've been releasing, I feel like they should be putting it out there in a more fleshed out, solid working like state. It definitely needs to be there.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. But hey, see, it'll improve over time, of course, and then that's just the way things are.
It will.
And I don't know, but capping the bandwidth to start at 48 is just weird to me. It's kind of,
I don't know.
Like, why 48?
I don't know.
Like 20, I understand, because not much really runs that.
Runs that
and
low.
if a game's going to run at 30 FPS and it's going to struggle, drop frames, then you're covered, because nothing's really going to drop below 20. Whereas 48, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I mean, these consoles,
I don't know. They've obviously got their reasons.
Yeah, these consoles are at a point where they've got a high enough teraflop and all the other stuff, GPU, good enough CPU, and so on and so forth, to be able to be playing games technically at a higher frame rate. So you shouldn't be getting below 48 technically, but I guess it also depends on the vision of the developer, and are they wanting to do the modes for 30 FPS or not, because this would actually be beneficial to games which run at 30. If there's any area where you've got a lot of load and it drops a frame, you wouldn't notice that because VR is enabled. And I mean, I can't play 30 FPS games anymore unless the game is only solely in 30, and I don't think that should be something as part of current gen. You've got the better CPUs, you've got the better GPUs, you've got the better consoles in the sense of the SSD, so we should be getting the better frame rates. There's a huge difference if you're coming from PC and then trying to play a 30 FPS game, or you're on Xbox and you're used to 60 FPS and then you go play a 30 FPS game. So I don't know. It just
Yeah, that's just it's horrible for the eyes. It's so blurry.
I get they're trying to target that 60 FPS for the people who want it in the console, but I really think they really needed to look at that low frame rate compensation around there, because that's where it's key. Because you never know like what's going to happen if a developer has optimized a game properly or not. And in the case of, and I know I'm going to use Elden Ring as an example, that game fluctuates and you will get below 48 frames per second. So the refresh rate, so it like immediately stops VRR working. And once you're back into that little threshold, it's working fine again and you get the benefits of VRR. But it's not ideal, because if you've spent the money on a TV that enables that and you've spent the money on a console that enables it, as a consumer, it should be there for you. As Xbox gamers, we talked about the tools being delayed around enabling the feature set of RDNA 2, and the same thing is happening on PlayStation side, but no one's bagging on PlayStation about it. So it is important that we talk about this stuff and demand better regardless of what platform we play on. But I think we can be a little less toxic about it in the community, because it's just like, oh, I'm gonna phones at each other. I don't know. I guess I'm an adult. Should I be playing games there?
Well, yeah, of course. Cork says in the chat, so apparently Spider-Man can go above 60 FPS, but the graphics take a massive hit. No thanks then. Other Zinc says, Sony's VRR is a hoax. It doesn't work, period. So.
Oh, you guys are hilarious in the chat. Oh, something just happened on my... Oh, no, it's working. Okay. OBS reconnected itself.
So let us know if we drop out or anything.
Yep. Give it a second.
Hopefully, it's buffering for me, but hopefully everyone can still hear us.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's reconnected itself. Yeah, it's back up.
All right, awesome. All right, I reckon we jump into the next topic. We are getting through these a little quicker than normal, but that's because we don't have Elite slowing us down
and
with his
just
rubbish.
Making us laugh. He makes us laugh, man. He's hilarious. Oh.
And he can set me off and I'll just laugh. I don't bother muting myself anymore, because I think it's funny if everyone else sort of hears it and we can all have a laugh together. So
I think when we're all live together, we have really good banter, and the show's just amazing, and the chat's amazing as well. So yeah.
Indeed, totally. I think the biggest news that has sort of come out in the last few days is the Xbox Bethesda E3 in inverted commas, showcase. Runtime 90 minutes.
Bad.
Well,
sorry, my sentencing is bad.
No, sentencing.
Yep.
Your wording.
Grammar.
No, that's good, because last year, about the same time, we had the Xbox Bethesda showcase, the very first one, after the acquisition of Bethesda, and that also ran for 90 minutes, and that was games.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they would change that. I don't think that they will change that sort of format, except for showing us more of things like Starfield. So they showed us a trailer. They spoke about it a little bit. This time around, I think it's going to be more of a hands-on. See some gameplay. They'll talk about some of the mechanics, that kind of thing. I think we'll get a walkthrough on that, at least, I reckon, about a 10-minute walkthrough. And then my theory is that after the showcase, so in the days
afterwards,
preceding that, will be Bethesda dropping a video or two, going into sit downs and talking about it and showing more screenshots and going probably even more in depth. We'll get a great sort of snippet, 10 minutes worth, because that's what they do, right? They typically like to go through that and educate people on how it, what the games are going to be and what it entails and mechanic wise and things like that. So
the runtime,
it's going to be a lot of content.
Yeah, the runtime for this is Xbox has said sort of typically their showcase usually contains about 19 minutes of content, but there's some stuff out there saying that could be up to 3 hours, so they might actually spread it out over more than one day. And I think you're probably right. I think they're going to do something small. It's big enough on the scale of E3, but they're going to continue. They're going to ramp up the Starfield Starfield marketing before release, because I don't think that game's getting delayed at all. They've set that date, and I think he was very, very specific around setting that date for Bethesda to release Starfield at that time. Oh my god, why can't I remember his name? Why can't I remember the head of Bethesda's name? Oh my god.
Todd Howard.
Todd Howard, thank you. Oh my god, my brain went blank. 4 hours sleep, guys. 4 hours sleep. I blame that.
That, and you're probably envisioning his beautiful cropped hair.
Oh, I was envisioning his hair. How did you know? He has beautiful hair. Hey, Jim Ryan could take a leaf out of that book.
Shit. Yeah, last year's showcase was a great indication of exactly what's going to sort of happen again. They're going to do the same sort of thing, and I'm
excited.
I think we should probably. I mean, yeah. Well, we kind of covered a little bit of this last week as well, but they're definitely going to show off Forza Motorsport.
Yep.
I would, if they didn't, it would be a massive missed opportunity. And they're going to show us some actual gameplay of that as well, and what the graphics look like and things like that. So we're in for a treat. I actually did skim through last year's video real quick, and there's still games on there. I mean, with the exception of say Stalker 2, which we understand why there's a delay there, but besides that, yeah, there's been a bunch of games that we still haven't seen the light of day.
Yep.
Which is interesting. So are we going to get more on those? Are we going to get release dates on those? I would think so.
I would
think that we're going to see a lot of what we saw last year, but with dates, and then I think we're going to see some new stuff and a tiny bit of third party.
I think we're going to see a lot more gameplay.
Yeah,
I really think we're going to see a lot more gameplay. And I think having 90 minutes and going like, what are the third party devs going to do around this time? Like, there's a lot of other shows. There's that Summer Fest with Jeff Keighley and like a whole heap of other things going on around that time. So I think there'll be stuff shown there. But I think Xbox has a great opportunity to just kind of take this moment, let people breathe, and just like allow the games to sit and kind of people to absorb it and kind of go, I know what I'm going to be doing for the next 12 months. I think that's going to be key, is Xbox is setting it up, and I think we're going to see a lot more gameplay rather than CGI trailers. There's content that hasn't even, from the studios, from first-party studios, that hasn't even been announced yet, and we know they're working on games. Compulsion Games might be there, which would be lovely. I just really want a release date for Asobo Studios, oh my god, Plague Tale Requiem, which is third party. I really want a release date for that, and that's coming day one on Game Pass. So I think we might get an update on that game, because that was meant to come out sometime this year. I think it was meant to come out first half of the year, and we're already kind of past that point, and we still haven't heard anything. So I think maybe delayed to the second half of the year, or even to next year.
I reckon we'll see something in June, July, or August.
Yeah, I mean, we've got. Do you reckon we'll see Deathloop? Because Deathloop is, or do you reckon they'll do something else for that and it won't be an E3? Because Deathloop is coming in September for us.
I think they'll show Deathloop real quick, just to say it's coming, and yeah, and then that's sort of about it. Because I mean, we've sort of seen it all the last couple of years now, so I think it's just going to be more of a reminder, just to let everyone know that that's on its way. I've said this a few times before, and I'll say it again. I still think that the Forza Motorsport will be shown, and I reckon they're either going to drop the game that day, say it's available on Game Pass, or it'll be very close within a couple of months.
Because I don't reckon they're wanting to launch that game near Starfield. I don't think they want. I would think they want to give Starfield some breathing room, because I think regardless of what the leaks have said about Starfield, it's the mind behind Skyrim and that, Todd Howard, you just know that they have taken, and if you watch the Dev Diary videos about it, they have really thought about the world that you are going to get like lost in, and like spend hours upon hours in that game. So I think we're in for a really good treat around that. And regardless,
I don't see there, honestly, being any harm of dropping them even at the same time, because they're two completely different games.
They are two completely different games, but they might drop them within a week of each other, potentially, or 2 weeks of each other. But I think they do want to give those titles a bit of some breathing room. And I'm just really excited. It's been a long time since we've seen Forza Motorsports. A game from them, like 2017 was Forza Motorsport 7, and that's 5 years ago. So it's been a long time, and they've got the new engine, and so it'll be great to see what they're doing and see what they do with ray tracing, whether that'll be in game. I think we are all holding out hope that it's in game and not just in like replay and in the car garage area that Dealer was talking about on his video he recently posted. But like talking about Forza Motorsports, like that recently came out that there was a potential that could be cross-platform. And Cork, that was one of our topics. Do you think it coming possibly to Xbox One is a good or bad thing? Because I think we're at a point where people are realizing cross-platform isn't as bad as they thought it was. This whole "we believe in generations" is just marketing speak to build hype, and to also for some of the community use it as console war crap.
We've seen how good Forza games look. Even go back to the first Forza games.
Yep.
Still look really good today. So with the upgrade in the engine, they're building. Okay, so even if there is an Xbox One version that exists, won't have any ray tracing whatsoever.
Yeah.
It'll still look good. I can guarantee you that, but it won't have anything like ray tracing because it's not going to.
Isn't as bad as
it's not going to work. So it won't be there. However, it'll still look good, and it'll be essentially. There's a chance that it could be a different version, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
As well. So I think if I remember correctly, it was Forza Horizon 2 that actually came out on 2 systems as well.
Correct. Yes.
But they were. Yeah, and they were 2 different.
They were the same
versions,
game, but
completely different.
Settings-wise, they were different, and
they were made by 2 different companies. One actually built it for the 360 so that it would still work. So there were actually 2 completely different SKUs. Yeah. So I mean, they could do the same kind of thing with that too if they really wanted to. But I just reckon they'll take a lot of the heavy loads out, like ray tracing. But my theory, and I hope I'm right, my theory is that the Xbox Series versions are going to have ray tracing at 60 in game.
I mean,
I really do.
I'm of the mindset, like, yes, I would like this to be current gen only, so that they can really, really just optimize and solely focus on that for the Series S and the Series X. But I also think, like, Dealer was 100% right around how we understand about development and what we understand about engines. They are scalable. And you can just adjust settings. And I think if push comes to shove, they can always do what it is like they did with Flight Simulator, where they released the game for cloud, so you could still play it on your old hardware, but it was through cloud. So I think we might see that, or we might see some cloud implementation to support. But I do agree we're at the point where, and I think E3 is going to show this. We're at the point we're going to start releasing current gen only titles, because Xbox has kind of shown that they're starting to get consoles out, and the stock issues aren't hindering them as much as it is the other side, around obviously availability and chipsets and such, because they can make 2 to 1 in comparison to the Series X when they're making the console. But I mean, yes, I think there is some negatives to it if it goes cross-platform, but I also think, like, who am I to say that you can't play a game? We've already got enough of that with exclusives on the Xbox, and exclusives on the PC, and exclusives on the Switch, and exclusives on the PlayStation. We don't need to be creating barriers for our community at this early into the community, like this early into the generation. And I think options are good. And I mean, it might give people a chance to save up for a nice TV and save up for a nice new console if they get an opportunity to play the game. But again, there's that selfish side of me going, I really just want to look at all the pretty graphics and then take full advantage of the system and not have to focus on any optimizing for any other platforms or anything else. So I can see both sides of it. For me, I just kind of want to see what the Series X can do, and kind of have a fair comparison between people talking about GT7 versus Forza Motorsports instead of GT7 versus Forza Horizon, because those two games are completely different, and it would be nice to have a conversation without the fanboy crap, because it is absolute rubbish, and talk to each other like gamers, but it's never going to happen. But if you do want to talk, yeah.
Forza Motorsport 8 or whatever it's going to be called is going to smash GT7.
I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be amazing.
Not going to be a contest. But
you don't.
Yeah, look, what else?
Oh, I was going to say, Cork says ray tracing. It's 4K 60 FPS question mark. Not a chance. Hey, you never know what's actually going to happen. Turn 10 Studios are really good at optimizing. So they did a lot with the previous Xbox One generation hardware around those games. So you might get like 1800p or 1440p with some ray tracing involved.
Checkerboard.
Who knows?
You can still checkerboard.
Yeah, you can. We don't know what Turn 10 Studios implementation is of that as well. I think that they might have different modes. But I really hope we get some in-game ray tracing. That would be really cool, because it's...
I'm confident.
Yeah.
I'm confident. So we'll see. Time will tell. You guys got to remember, it's a closed circuit racer. It's not an open world. They've got a lot more headroom over anything that's open world. So
they can just optimize the hell out of those circuits.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
100%.
I want to see the physics. That's going to be the big thing. That's why I'm
confident.
The physics.
That's the thing. That's what they're going to show on the. That's exactly what they're going to show. Is they're going to go in depth about the physics. We've sort of they've spoken about the wheels and the tires and the feel of all of that, and all that. So they'll go into more depth about that. They're going to want to show this off. Besides it being a graphical masterpiece, which it will be, they're wanting to show this off. What points of difference? It's not just another Forza game per se. They want to be able to show this to everyone and say, well, we've made these, awesome game-changing mechanics to this, and this is what it's all about. And they'll go in depth about it. That's what's going to happen with this. Well, sure.
Cork says leave the old tech behind. Fair enough. I do agree with that, but I also think about the people who aren't on the new tech yet. And I'm kind of like, my heart jumps out to them. I'm a bit empathetic to them. And he just says, if it was possible, they would have already done it on Forza Horizon 5. That, again, is a completely different
engine.
Different engine. That is open world, completely different thing. Like, what they did on Forza Horizon 5 was very impressive, and that was cross-platform. So I can't wait to see what 6 brings to the table. But Other Zinc says, Forza Motorsports 2022 will be native 4K 120 FPS locked, please, and thank you. Yes, on the Series X. I would love that. I would love that. I mean, like, Halo just got 120 FPS availability for the Series S. That's insane. So I'd love 120 FPS in a racing game, because I've never played a racing game.
You will get it, but it won't be with ray tracing.
Oh, it won't be with ray tracing. No, the ray tracing won't be.
Only I'm telling you now, only the 60 FPS mode will have ray tracing. The 120 will have. There will be a 120 mode, but it won't have ray tracing in game.
The hardware implementation, and you remember them talking about, technically they've got additional, because of the hardware, dedicated ray tracing that they've got on the console. It's like having extra teraflops in the console as well, that is dedicated just to doing ray tracing computation. So I think that's going to be key for that. And they've got more CUs, so it can process a lot more around ray tracing than the PlayStation can, just based on how math works in general, and understanding about what actually happens with ray tracing and such. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. Yeah, I agree. I don't think you're going to see it at 120. Hell no. But I think you're probably going to see it at 60, and I think they're going to do some good optimization for it.
Yeah, because they've revamped their engine, so it's not the same engine that Forza Horizon 5's using.
Nope.
Forza Horizon 5's still on the old tech, so this is new. And this is why it's taken 5 years or so to build another game.
Yep.
So it's all been done on purpose. But Red, what else would you like to see at this event? I mean, it's 90 minutes long. It's got to be something either that you saw in last year's.
2.
Yeah.
I want to see more than just what we got as our teaser of gameplay that we got. And I'm going to say that with quotation marks here because, yes, it was gameplay, but it was heavily scripted. It looked gorgeous on the UE5 engine. But I really want to see that. I want to see what they've done around the fighting mechanics. And because they talked about...
Totally.
Yeah, they talked about how she'd been doing training and even the actual animators had done that so they could kind of work out how it actually works when it comes to the fighting mechanics and such and actually make it more realistic and seamless and the way it should have been in the first game. But on the first game, they were such a small dev studio and $10 million to make that game and how that game was like an indie game and they like killed it. So having the funding behind them, I just want to see Hellblade 2 because I know if we see Fable, I'll probably die. But I don't think we're going to see Fable. I think that's a while out. They've still got a lot of work to do on that. Do you think we'll see Avowed? I would like to see Avowed, but I don't think we're going to see Avowed.
Well, just jumping back to Hellblade real quick.
Yep.
I think what they'll do is they'll start the video with Tamim. Tamim always talks, and the way they do their Ninja Theory sort of do their videos, they're usually sort of like mini documentaries.
Yeah.
Typically. So I think you'll have the video start off with Tamim. He'll talk about the game and probably their journey with it. And then they'll sort of go into that sort of combat and they'll show clips of everyone practicing the combat, and then they'll go into some gameplay and show and talk more about the whole system and how it works and the complexity of it and things like that. So they might even sort of show, besides combat, they'll probably want to show off the landscape a bit more and a bit better. So what we've seen so far has been quite dark. We'll probably get some sort of more day scenes and see beaches and forests and things like that to sort of really show off the graphics is what I'm sort of expecting from it anyway.
Yeah. I mean, I think that game is going to be one of the most graphically impressive games of the generation. Just the way they've talked about it, and you just know the detail that they put into the previous game, and they said like this new game is going to make this other game look like an actual proper indie game, like. I think it's going to be really impressive, and kudos to them. And I mean, their development got very much impacted in just like any studio which used motion capture during COVID. So we know that they could have been further ahead, but because of COVID, they've kind of pushed back. So I think 2023 release, potentially end of the year. I think that's going to be one of the big titles for 2023.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean. Yep. Contraband would be cool to hear about, but we're probably going to see stuff about Redfall. I really want to play that game. I love Back 4 Blood, and I really want to play that game.
Yeah, look, again, see, there's so much that's been shown in last year's E3 per se that we still haven't seen. So they've got to drop some more footage and some more gameplay, and definitely some dates. That's the big part. Everyone wants to now know, when is all this stuff coming out? Contraband would be cool. I think that's still probably sometime next year for a release date.
Yeah.
Premise behind that sounds pretty cool to me. Sort of a 4-player co-op heist game.
Yeah.
Should be cool.
Do you think we'll see anything about what Undead Labs is working on? Do you think we'll see anything about State of Decay 3?
Considering the first trailer was 2 years ago? I want to say 2 years ago when we saw that CGI trailer.
I think
it has to be something.
I feel like it was about 2 years ago.
Yeah, there has to be something that they could show us. I don't think it'll be much.
Well, that's running on UE5, so I don't think it'll be a much as well, yeah.
Yeah, but I think we'll actually get to see something from it, something that other than just CGI. I'm not really a fan of those games, but if this one's going to be more of an open world,
have that co-op
approach it however you want,
still got the co-op,
and I reckon it's going to be pretty cool. So
I mean, that
those
game would be
graphics, if
quite
they're
cool
anything
as
like
a
that.
mini MMO type game, like a very much open world. Jump in with like a group, and like you've got all your survivors. Everyone can be a survivor, and you can just like the scope that they could bring it up to now that they've got the support financially, so they can get the developers, and they've got that studio that jumped off to the side that's dedicated just to doing animations for UE5. I think that's going to be key, because that was one of the biggest things of number 2 was just like the way people moved in that game. It was hard to watch.
Indeed.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's lots in the chat. Hi, Mr. Kima, and bye others Inc. But
Others Inc. Yeah, he's got to go have some dinner.
Enjoy your tucker. Enjoy your kai.
Tucker.
And yeah, well, it's called kai here, guys. In New Zealand, we call it kai food. But thank you. And I was going to say something. I totally lost my train of thought when Mr. Keem.
Okay, well, while you have a think, I actually want to ask the chat. I go, what are you guys excited to see? I'd like to know what is it gameplay? Is it new games? Is it much of the same? But I'm interested to know, what you guys are looking out for when Xbox's
that's what I was
E
gonna
and
ask.
Bethesda's E3.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Oh, really?
Yep. And then I saw Keema in the chat because I looked at the chat. So yeah, chat. What do you guys think's coming for E3 or Xbox Bethesda Showcase? What are you excited about?
Exclusive.
Yeah, world premiere.
It'd be good to know because, like, I mean, we've world premiere. We've had our opportunity to speak, and it would be just good to see some of the chats, the comments there.
Yeah.
Other things got Forza Motorsport 2022 is 100% next gen native. It will be playable via cloud technology only on Xbox One. Oh, okay.
Yep.
And that's the thing, actually. So because the hardware is quite weak for the Xbox One, especially in today's standards, having the cloud to help with that, the computational shit
What they did
will definitely help it to work.
Yeah, they did that with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. 100%. So yeah, that's that'll be pretty cool. Let's see.
Cork says
Cork says
Starfield.
raised.
Oh, sorry, go. You start.
There you go.
All right. Cork says Starfield need gameplay. 100% need gameplay. 20 minutes of it, please. I mean, all we've seen is concept art. Them talking about it. Some teasers about like the trailer and like the release date and concept art and more concept art. So, my
like
sister's
I said,
in the chat. My twin, she says a new Fable trailer and a release date. Lol. She knows me. I love Fable. That's why I'm an Xbox gamer.
Indeed. Well, like I said, I reckon we'll get about a 10-minute walkthrough, and then during the week there'll be a couple of videos.
Deep dives, yeah.
More of a deep dive. Yeah. That's for Starfield.
My left
Very
nut
good.
is itchy, says, I watch to see Fable gameplay. Yes, Fable gameplay, guys. GT7 revived my interest in racing sims tryhard. Yep, I would agree that that game really did. I'm more of an arcade racer because I grew up with like Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2 and like all the...
Jeez, I grew up with Ed and Senna's back on the 1980 something on the Sega Master System.
Yeah. I played like
Ed and
Diddy Kong
Senna's
Racing
Formula One or
on
something.
my 64. I was a big Diddy Kong Racing. I want a Diddy Kong Racing game, guys. Come on, do it. Xbox won't do that, but this Nintendo, do it, or do a joint thing. But yeah, yep. Okay, all right.
Oh, everyone's excited for it, so that's good.
I want Fable. I know I can't stress how much I want Fable, but I would like to wait and let that cook a little bit more. But if they show Fable, my face will melt.
I got a question for you. Right, so I like the Fable games as well. But especially if you go back to them now, they're a little bit kiddie. Do you still want it to be sort of a kiddie?
Nah. I just want it to have.
Or
the
do you
humor.
want them to up the? Yeah. Well, if it didn't have the humor that it's known for, then it's trash.
Dead on arrival.
But
yeah.
They need to sort of up the graphics to something, like that
More
Plague's Tale,
realistic.
that kind of graphics.
Yeah, I agree.
Except probably even better. Keep the humor and a bit more adult because we've all grown up since, and we kind of just want that more mature And make it more RPGs, even more.
Yep. I would like
Have
them
more
to,
elements in there.
I would like them to bring back the whole idea with the evil gnomes type side quest. I loved listening to those guys insult you as you went around the map. They were hilarious. Like if you're a female versus a male, if you were if you were thin versus fat, they would just harass the shit out of you, and it was great. And I loved it to death. And humor. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah, humor with the achievements. That was, I went in 100%ed a lot of Fable 2 and Fable 3. Didn't do Fable 1 Anniversary Edition because there was like a weird one for getting the puppets, and I just couldn't be bothered. I have missing one achievement off that game. But I went and just got all the achievements because they were so funny. There was that gothic achievement. There was that achievement for Henry VIII where you like got married like 5 times and killed 2 of your spouses, and I was like, doing that.
I didn't bother going in that depth with it, but yeah, I enjoyed the games very much so.
Yeah.
I just hope it's it'll be interesting to see how they improve upon it, because they've got some big shoes to fill, I think. So we'll see. They say that some of the devs that are helping with the game are ex-Lionhead, so they should have a good idea of what needs to happen.
Oh, I was that day Lionhead Studios got closed down. My heart died. I was so upset because I just like that.
Dark times.
Yeah, that was the reason I got into Xbox, guys. First time I played an Xbox game, or actually got into Xbox games, was playing Fable with my twin, who's in the chat, and every time one of us died, would swap the controller over and like see how far we could get, because there was only one Xbox in the house and we had to share the time, and it's awful when you have to share, and you both love the game. And then she was really nice and she got me an Xbox 360 for Christmas one year, and
nice. We've
been Xbox gamers like ever since, playing Fable. So yeah, I have very big soft spot, and I have high hopes that they'll do the franchise justice, because it's a UK studio and they know the heart and soul of Fable, where it's at is the humour and it not taking itself too seriously. But I do think it does need to grow up a little bit. I definitely agree with you there, Ashtray.
Yeah, because I mean, it's 20-year-old, roughly 20-year-old franchise, so yeah, it does need some maturing, and I think they will do that. The trailer that we saw was just CGI, but the humor's there. I can't see them making really any changes to the humor, but it'll be down to, like I said, it's going to be hard for them, because you're going to have the diehard fans that not going to want anything changed. Then you're going to want the ones that want slight changes, and it's a balancing act. And I'm pretty confident that they'll pull it off.
Yep.
And appease everybody.
Oh yes.
So, and it, for sure, we'll get a whole lot of new fans as well. So that's pretty cool.
If you guys are watching live, you'll be seeing, well, anyone who watches this after the fact as well, we'll be seeing Bugsnax gameplay. A few weeks ago, I did say that I would make sure that I would record gameplay for this game and put it up on the show, and I have, and I uninstalled the game because it is rubbish. I got 2 achievements, turned it off. I was bored to death. I mean, some people like it. No, not my game. That's all I'm going to say. It's my opinion. Valid for me. You guys might want to play it. Up to you.
Okay, but I want some more context. Like, what didn't you like about it? I haven't touched it yet, so I'm interested to see what problem was.
It wasn't engaging. Like, the story was a bit like, I understand the story. Honestly, it's not. I'm wanting more adult games, or games that actually make me laugh, like properly laugh, and can be entertaining. It seemed a bit childish for me. I mean, it's cute, and like the concept is cute and such, and like the idea of like I gave someone a wiener hand, that whole wiener hands thing, but I was like, I have to continue doing the same like gameplay mechanic over and over and over again, and like I was absolutely bored of it, and I just turned it off, and then I uninstalled it after I got the gameplay recording. That's it. I was just like, I can't sit here and play another 2 to 3 hours of this game if that's, I don't even know how long the game is meant to take to finish, but I was like, I can't sit there and do it. Nah.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Well, at least you stuck it out and you got some footage of it, so that's pretty cool.
I did.
Hey, next topic, which is, it's always controversial, but it's always it's good to see positivity coming out of it.
Yep.
Paramount earnings call indicate that Halo show is a global hit.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. Paramount adds 6.3 million global streaming subs in first quarter.
Yep.
They've probably all come from Netflix.
Yeah, probably.
Quarter to top 62 million, including nearly 40 million at Paramount Plus. So if you're not aware, the Halo series has been out for a few weeks now. I think we're about halfway through the season now. I think episode 7.
Oh, 7, yeah.
7 dropped, I think, or 8. I'm not sure. I haven't watched it yet. Need to do that today at some point.
Watch the first episode, and I'm gonna wait to binge watch it.
That's probably the best way to do it.
Yep.
I hate drip feeding, and we've been spoiled from that because I don't like waiting weekly to watch it, but it's caused some controversy in regards to fans that of the series, of the games, of the books, because Master Chief takes his helmet off and to be honest with you, he spends most of the time with it off. But I think because they've got to also appeal to people that have never heard of Halo before, which seems to be working, they've sort of they can't keep everyone happy at the end of the day. It's good to see that people are watching it. They had already, before the series even launched, they announced that it was picked up for a season 2. So that showed you how well it viewed, because obviously they do test screenings and things like that, and the popularity amongst those people. So they were confident to go, all right, let's renew it for a season 2. It's paying off.
I mean, I think whenever you start any series, you have to give it at least a couple of episodes to kind of get it to set the scene, because yes, we already know it as Halo gamers, but people coming on it firsthand, like it's like The Witcher, people coming onto it firsthand hadn't played the games, hadn't read any of the books, and so you've got to allow it to kind of find its audience and kind of let it set itself up and build into what it's going to build into. And so I think the fact that it was renewed for a second season, to all those people who aren't giving it a chance, there is a reason it was renewed for a second season. And you being Halo fans, I think you should give it a chance. I think they found a pretty happy medium. Obviously, not everyone is going to be super impressed by it. Around, yes, like you said, like his helmet gets taken off in the first episode. But I think at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. You can go back and play your Halo games, and Halo at its core is going to be what Halo has always been in the games. But there are other people who get to experience this and understand why you guys like Halo. So give it a chance. I mean, like Paramount Plus said that this is one of their top performing shows or series for this quarter with it releasing. So it's one of the best performing ones for streaming, and like revenue grew 148% over this quarter, so really, really good. They think added about 6.3 or added maybe, like, they gained 6.8 million subscribers in the last quarter, and part of that would have been people wanting to watch Halo. It is a big franchise, it does have a lot of support, and I think awesome job. I can now watch it on TVNZ on demand in New Zealand, so I have watched the first episode. I'm gonna watch the rest of them, but I'm gonna wait a little bit because it started off really good, the first episode, then dipped a little bit towards the end. I don't know what the next few episodes are gonna be like, but I just
you need to get through the next 2, and then it gets better again.
Well, there you go. I mean,
my opinion.
I've had that before with TV shows where like they don't ramp up properly until the second half of a season, and so I've watched so much content that I'll give a show the benefit of the doubt, give it a chance, and once they really get like fire on all cylinders, you're good to go. So well done to Halo for being a global hit so far on that end, and to this actually finally going ahead, because it was announced years and years and years ago that this was happening, and finally we're getting it. So I think we do have to temper our expectations and be open to the idea that Halo it's not our precious anymore. It's not a ring from the Lord of the Rings. It's not ours. It is now everybody's, and you can't covet it the way you've been coveting it over the last how many years? Like since 2001, since the game originally released on the OG Xbox. So yeah, that's all I got to say about it. Well done.
I think most of the cast are pretty good. I think
Cortana?
The way, because it's hang on. It's kind of multi-layered. As you watch it, you'll sort of start to realize it's kind of multi-layered. There's kind of some different stories sort of interwoven.
Yep.
But the ones with the character that you get to see at the start, Kwan Ha, I don't like it. The episodes that haven't had her in there have been fantastic.
Have been fire, yeah.
But in saying that, Soren 66066, who's like a defective Spartan, he's awesome. Like that dude carries those episodes, in my opinion. I've loved him in other movies and TV shows before. So,
he's been in so many shows. Like the last thing I actually watched
been in tons of stuff.
The last thing I watched him in was probably the remake of Total Recall. That would have been the last thing I've watched him in specifically. And he's a great actor. So I think that's a great get. I think it's a great get, and I think they did a great job with some of the casting in this, and some of the, like, you get shows where the casting isn't always quite right. That's to be expected. It can't be perfect for every show. Some shows get it right, but take some, win, lose some.
And like, I know how some people complain that Cortana doesn't look like Cortana, and I sort of get that, but you know what? As soon as you hear her talk, it doesn't matter. Yep. Does not matter. You hear that voice from Cortana. Jen Taylor, who plays Cortana. It's Cortana, and that really friggin' pulls me into the show. And every time I hear her talking to Master Chief or to Halsey, just like, yeah, I'm in the game. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So oh shit, yeah, hell yeah.
You can look past visuals, as we've been learning as gamers, and I think we've forgotten this, is everyone's focused on graphics and other things. What about the fun? What about your enjoyment? Like, I myself as a gamer have gotten to the point where I don't. Yes, I understand and I like the idea that the Xbox is more powerful than the PlayStation, obviously. However, that does not impact my enjoyment of a game at all. I mean, look at Elden Ring. That game is not anything graphically amazing in comparison to some other games out there. Yet people love that game. So I think we need to get that mindset changed around, does it impact your enjoyment of the game? Yes or no? If it doesn't and you love the game, then that game is a winner regardless of how it frickin' looks. And that is the same, like, totally. if you can see that is at heart Cortana in her voice and soul, and you get that feeling that you do when you Cortana in the game, you can look past her looks, because society is so superficial now, that you can get past that and just focus on the enjoyment and listen to her voice. Like you said, it brings you into who Cortana is as who she is in the games. That's her voice, and I'm glad that they pulled her over from the games. Well deserved.
So happy that because they weren't going to include her in it originally. And that's what I heard anyway, and so I'm super glad that they did, because they're probably like, well, it's going to be an AI anyway. It's not going to be a real person per se, so it won't hurt to have the real voice, and I'm glad they did that. So
Elita's in the chat going, shit, rubbish. You should jump in for a second and just jump in and say shit, and then jump out again. if you're at your desk.
Could be on his phone. Who knows? But yeah, look, there's some people in the chat that are talking about it. They're happy that the show is doing well and they're enjoying it. So you just got to get past the first 2-3 episodes, and then gets even better. It builds up for sure. So I reckon, yeah, look, as long as they keep that momentum, I've realized over anything, above anything, you can have the best actors in the world. If the writing is shit, acting is shit.
Dead in the water, yeah.
Okay? Can't polish a turd. So it's important that
if you try, you get your fingers dirty. Sorry, that's straight.
Shit.
Literally,
yeah.
shit.
So it's got to stay. Any show that does really well and has longevity is because it's written well. Then those actors can use those lines and bring it to life. I've seen movies where you've had good actors in them, and the writing's that bad that the actor looks like he's like, you're like, is this the same person?
Can't act, yeah.
This is terrible. Yeah, but it's the content. So as long as they can keep that up, which I'm sure they will, it'll be fine and it will grow. And as long as they just don't make stuff, plot lines up and stuff like that, we should be good with it. So I'm excited. Keep watching it. Like I said, I'll watch episode 7 today. I think it dropped yesterday or the day before, so I'll get around to watching
excited
that. But
because the potential from the first episode with the fight scenes and stuff, I'm like, I can't wait to see like what episode is the big battle? It's 5 or 6 or something. I don't know.
It's like 5.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm definitely gonna make sure I watch that because just like that first bit and the like when they're fighting, I was like, yes, yes, yes. This makes me feel like I'm playing BTB right now.
You'll love that big battle scene then. That's pretty cool.
Can't wait. Okay, well, while we like talking about games and devs and other stuff, did you hear this crazy thing that happened like this week where like Embracer Group acquired like Eidos Montreal, Crystal Dynamics, and a small studio called Square Enix Montreal? Did you hear about this? It doesn't seem like big news, right?
No, I've never heard of it before. Do these guys make? I don't know. I think they make pants braces, do they? Or is it mouth braces? I don't know.
Sure, they didn't make
what is that all about? Could have. Hey, who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
Embracer Group. So they've basically doubled their studios by this acquisition.
Double?
I don't know how
Double?
to gauge
so
this.
they were like 3 studios and now they're 6? 60?
Gone.
Add a couple of zeros on the end?
Oh, they went from like 50 something to 100 and something.
Yeah, I'm teasing.
That's how many studios they've got. Which is interesting because I think they're worth 8 point something billion, sorry.
Monopoly.
But they've got that many studios. So in terms of what they're worth, they're not anywhere near the top, but the amount of studios they have is huge. So what I find interesting is Square Enix, the main Square Enix sold it off
on the east
300 million, which sounds super cheap for that many studios. However, people have said that there's a lot of debt that comes with that.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know more about the intricacies. I can't even say the word.
Intricacies.
On that, that's the
details?
word, because it's got to be cheap for a reason. And they've been saying, our Western studios, they're not making money and we're selling millions and millions of copies of these games, but they're not making money. And you're like, hang on, how does that work? Sell 15 million copies of a game, you're not happy with that? That doesn't make much sense to me. So it's probably management, maybe people filling their pockets.
Well, the first Tomb Raider launched the first remake of the Tomb Raider, the reboot of the series was in 2013, right? And that was on the 360, 2013, and it released right when Fallout 4 released. And there was another game releasing that same week, and it just got overshadowed, legitimately. But it was such a good game. And then eventually, and they made a second one, and they made a third one. Like, if it wasn't doing well enough to warrant you spending the money to make 2 more titles, why did you bother making 2 more titles?
Yeah.
Like the IP itself is really, really, really strong. It's got good branding. I mean, the IP launched a new Tomb Raider movie that was all right. But like, I agree. This $300 that would have been a real steal. $300 million deal.
I could buy that.
You could buy that. $300 million deal. That's insane. When you look at like the Bungie Sony acquisition, that is over $1 billion. And that is one IP. Yes, it's the technology that comes.
It was $3 billion.
Yeah, yeah. It was like 3 billion. I was saying over a billion. I couldn't remember the exact amount.
Well, that's true.
Well, $1 billion went to keeping their staff. And that was like one IP. Yes, it was the technology behind the online stuff, and also what they'd learnt about doing games as a service. But
so a lot of it's to do with that. Expertise.
But that is a steal. Like how many IPs? About 50 IPs or something they got as a result in the steal. Deus Ex is in there. There's so many games and IPs sitting in there. Legacy of Kain is in there. And like Crystal Dynamics is supporting the initiative with oh my god, Perfect Dark. So it's insane. Like Thief is in there. I just can't believe that it was just a $300 million deal, and I'm kind of sad that Xbox didn't get it. But I also am happy that it went to someone who's gonna feel like they're gonna treat the developers a little bit better. Embracer Group has a history of being a little bit more decent to them than what Square Enix was doing on the eastern side to their western studios. What does the chat think? Are they excited about the acquisition? Are they upset about the acquisition? I'm really just happy that the game's still going to be third party and we all still get to enjoy them, regardless. So I think, but that is a steal, in my opinion. Even if there's debt, that is a steal.
What's curious about it though is Square Enix Holdings want to deal more with NFTs and things like this. It doesn't really. It's a weird thing to do. Like NFTs, I don't see much of a future in that personally, so I don't think that's going to be a thing. So for them to say that, it's weird. Did they sell all those subsidiaries off, be purchased themselves? Maybe. I mean, there's more to it. I feel in some way, shape, or form than just this age, a cheap buyout. It's just weird. So
it is interesting.
Yeah, they got 50 IPs, and then. Yeah, again, Bungie at 3 billion for one IP and a bit of common knowledge, common knowledge, but expertise in gaming line and infrastructure. It's a lot, and then for them to still stay independent doesn't sound right either. This is Bungie I'm talking about.
I mean, Embracer Group owns based on the studios that they have 850 owned franchises. That's insane. Yeah. And
it's a lot.
And like looking at the size of Embracer Group, yes, price wise, very different around what their market value is. But that is a hell of a lot more studios and developers than what's on the Xbox side at the moment. And even after the Blizzard Activision deal, Microsoft is still going to be anywhere near the amount of developers that studios that Embracer Group has. So, I mean, you guys want to scream monopoly and such. To some of the community wants to scream that. It's not a monopoly. Microsoft is really tiny in comparison to some of these other big groups that exist. So yeah, it's just really interesting. I'm happy. I'm happy that that the studios are out from underneath Square Enix Eastern Side's thumb, because I feel like they were being mistreated and the expectations put on them were not fair in comparison to some of the other studios that Square Enix had. Yeah,
which is interesting in itself, isn't it? So there's more to it, and I think over time we should get more information on why this sort of came about. What sort of what spurred it, what happened internally, and hopefully we get a bit more context around how this sort of plays out. But we'll sort of mention Bungie acquisition because that's probably the most recent, besides this one that's not an Xbox or Microsoft acquisition. And it's funny because now the FTC apparently are looking into the Bungie Sony deal. So it's not just Microsoft that they're looking at. They're looking at Sony and Bungie deal as well. We know that it's just formalities. It's just part of the process. But the fact that it has some people up in arms asking for the FTC to ruin the Microsoft Activision deal, but not the Bungie Sony deal is quite funny and pathetic at the same time.
Yep. Yep. I think we aren't involved. Like, for us to get our noses in that and jump in, like, we're not the FTC. We don't have any shares in these companies. We are just wanting to play their games. Like, you guys, like, for those people who spent years telling us to buy a PlayStation if we wanted to play these games, the same thing happens when it's games that you can't play. I think we all win when we get to play as many games as that we can, and all this gatekeeping rubbish that they have been lording over about within their community, it's over. Competition is here, and like developers and studios change hands a lot, as we have seen in the last, like, I don't know, 5-6 years. Specifically in the last 5-6 years, it's changed a lot. And I think it's going to continue to change because gaming is huge. You're seeing all these other big names coming in and throw their hat in the ring. Stadia, you've got Amazon coming in, you have Apple doing stuff on the gaming side, and like Netflix is adding games to Netflix. Yeah, it's going to be forever changing, and I'm just happy that it went to a company that I don't really mind Embracer Group. Yeah, I think you're right, fuck you, about THQ Nordic, because it's like Swedish holdings and a whole heap of other things over there. So yeah, I'm happy about this.
Yeah, and
I'm just
the fact that they remain third party, like you said before, third party games. So we're still all going to get them whatever platform you're on. So that's a good sign too. So it's a positive for the gamers, and it probably means that these studios, because I mean, look, at the end of the day, Square Enix could have shut them down.
Yep.
One by one.
Yep.
So instead of doing that, they've sold it off to Embracer Group, who will hopefully nurture them and keep them.
I'm curious about...
It's actually a very positive.
I'm curious about what that means for another Guardians of the Galaxy, because that was Eidos Montreal. Like, are we going to get another Guardians of the Galaxy as a result? Like, who was the deal with around? Like, was that with Square Enix itself, or was that with Eidos Montreal specifically? Like, is there going to be another deal in the works for a number 2? Because that game was really, really fun. Yeah, but I mean, we're gonna get almost finish this topic. We're going to start heading out shortly, but are there any questions that you guys have for us in the chat? Thank you all for joining. Hit that like button, share it out, and make sure that you put Elite is a fraud in the chat.
Elite's a fraud.
Yeah. and
we think the same way.
When he comes back next week, can you all put in the chat and ask him a serious question? Ask him how his hysterectomy went. Please. I implore you to all do that. Spam the chat. Go for it. He'll love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh.
I'm not going to miss an episode ever again. Fuck that.
It's not worth it at the end of the day, is it? What did you say about me being away last week, guys? No, I'm kidding. What did...
Oh, you didn't hear? You didn't hear it?
That's good. I missed some of the stuff because I was doing stuff, but I was listening to some of it in the background. But yeah, what was it?
You have to rewatch it.
I'm gonna have to rewatch it. Pop in the chat what they said about me, guys. Nah, you're gonna make me rewatch
probably not.
Yeah, but definitely pop in the chat. I'm super excited for Tomb Raider as well. Dauntless. I'm gonna say Dauntless because I know that you're putting that in the chat and not the fire. Because they announced a new Tomb Raider. I just hope Camilla Luddington is voicing Tomb Raider. Like,
I hope she is, because she's gorgeous anyway.
Yeah, she is. Her British accent in that is just so good.
Yeah, it is indeed. But hey, look, is Tomb Raider going to be on the top of our list as Xbox gamers when Jones comes out?
Ooh.
I have a feeling, because obviously Indiana Jones has the nostalgia, has the popularity behind it, and essentially Tomb Raider was based off it.
Yeah.
So when that drops, and if that's exclusive to Xbox, which it may not be, we all know that there could have been a deal in the back before the acquisition to remain third party. But regardless,
Spoiler,
How are we gonna
guys.
feel?
Indiana Jones is
Are we gonna care?
Lara Croft's dad, and we never knew about it.
That would
he
be
was
pretty
the
cool.
milkman in that situation. It would explain a lot.
Well, he
Oh.
definitely raided someone's tomb. Oh my god. It was lame.
It was
It's time for
lame,
me
but
to
it was
go.
good. It is time. It is time for us to jump out for the week. We'll see you next week for another amazing show. And Elite will be here next week, maybe fully recovered from his hysterectomy. Possibly, we don't know. He might be all right. He might be moving around in a wheelchair for a little bit.
I thought he was getting his testicles
Reattached.
taken out and put into earrings.
Oh, he could. Maybe he got both done. You know, when you're sedated, they could do 2 procedures at once. So maybe he got both done. But appreciate you guys, as always, joining us. And, like, you can find me on Twitter. If you want to DM me, if you want to join us for community game night, it's 10 p.m. my time, New Zealand time, and it is also 8 p.m. Australian Eastern time. It's
Time.
Yeah, I'm just making sure I got that one right. We
Correct,
do it
correct.
Friday and Saturdays. Most of us, like, it just depends, but we have a lot of fun. Dauntless has been joining us the last couple of days for it. So, and Ashtray will be there. Yeah. So you can teabag him in Halo.
Yeah, well, I die a lot, so
You'll be
feel
teabagging
free.
him a lot in Halo. Ashray's like, I'm never playing with you again. Oh,
Yeah, no, it's all good.
nice podcasts
and-
from my sister, and then she says podcast. I like that. We're gonna call this the Gamers Initiative's Podcats.
Elite's written, yes, Panda. Have you made a video recently? That's my question.
I'm literally making this video right now. The gameplay recording.
Yes, but not the type of videos you're expecting, Elite.
Yeah. My video's a bit more X-rated. No, they're not. I don't have an OnlyFans account, thank God. Oh,
No, it's a video of you knitting
yeah.
the
no.
cat on your lap.
Oh, it's a video of me going, what the fuck? In Halo. That's what it is. That is it. That's exactly what it is. But
Indeed.
thanks for joining us. Ashtray, where can people find you? And what are you
everyone
be
can
doing?
well, who knows? Yeah, I still haven't made a video. It's been like 5 weeks now, 6 weeks, which sucks, but hey, I've just got to get my mojo back on that. I do enjoy doing it. My favorite part is the editing of the videos. So most people find that the worst, but I actually enjoy that. So I do need to find time to get back into it.
Yep.
But YouTube, Twitter, Xbox, and PlayStation, I'm all Ashtray Gaming. Easy to find. I like to keep it simple, just so I can remember, honestly, because otherwise I'd forget where I lived. So that is me. I'm usually on Xbox playing whatever. It could be quite random. These days I've been playing quite a bit of Fortnite, which I know some people don't like, but hey, it is actually quite fun. And I've roped a couple of you guys. Red and I've played. We had the victory.
Continue.
I was going to say, you and I played a few duos and we won a few matches.
Like 5 in a row?
Yeah, that was cool. That was awesome. I played with Boba Fett and a few others.
You played
Xbox
with Pete,
Obi
right?
as
At
well.
one point. Jedi Pete, shout out to him. Shout out to Risk It for community game night.
Yeah. So, I mean, beginning, and look, I know everyone says it's a kids game and that, but it's just another shooter and it's fun. It's something different and we all get to play in teams and stuff like that, in squads. So, yeah.
And shout out to my sister who called me not a real gamer for actually having Fortnite on my Xbox. Yeah, she did. She called me a fraud.
She's no Elites in the chat. He says, thanks for the show. Enjoyed very much. I didn't see you write anything, but
he's
good to see you here,
he's
man.
just listening live because he couldn't be in chat for much. Fuck you
yeah.
says, great show. Thanks, Panda and Ashtray. Thank you for joining us. And as always, have a great weekend. Because I know some of you it's already started and some of you it's about to start. I wouldn't encourage day drinking, but do it. Um, and we'll see you guys either on Twitter or on Xbox, or here next week as usual. Thank you all so much for
Indeed.
watching. Bye, guys.